Welcome back to Simply Bitcoin. It's the weekend recap. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, and the websites by plebes or plebs. All right, you know where we're going. It's number time.
Number time. Sponsored by Bitcoin 2022.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 706,525. The Bitcoin price, 60,900. Chain rewrite days, 831. Total public Lightning capacity, 3,128.81. Sats per dollar, or Moscow time, 1642. And blocks to the halvening, 133,475. Nico, that's some pretty good... some pretty good stuff for the Lightning, the public Lightning capacity. 3,128. We're like holding steady. I think we're up like 2 BTC from the last time we reported on Friday. So, I mean, that's pretty solid. We're holding steady.
All-time highs, man, in the Bitcoin Lightning Network capacity. That's the signal. We definitely want that to keep going up. Price took a little bit of a tumble last couple days. Not that it matters. Definitely consolidating. Who the fuck knows, to be honest. Let's see what happens, Phil.
I'll tell you this. You know what's interesting? You remember we were, our whole theory, right? That like, when the price goes down, like that's when we'd see people, closing channels and stuff like that and opening channels up. But it's interesting because right now it's like 10 sats per byte, or at least that's what it was yesterday. For a good portion, at least for a good portion of the evening when I was looking at it, and like that's not really that expensive, so I think like I don't know if we're gonna figure out the correlation between the public Lightning capacity and the price. Like maybe there's no maybe there's just no relationship in it, except for as Bitcoin adoption increases, so do we see the Lightning, the public Lightning capacity increase.
Yeah, I mean I think does the price indicate Bitcoin adoption? That's a really good question.
I've seen some arguments. I've seen some arguments for that because, it's quote unquote number go up technology, right? Because essentially, so it's interesting. There's also the number go sideways argument, right? It's not that number goes up. It's that number goes sideways because fiat number continually goes down.
Yep.
So that's kind of where the 1 BTC is always 1 BTC kind of thing, which it also has to do with the fact that they can't split it up. So, anyways, I'm just saying, like, I think the price kind of does have to do with it, right? Because essentially the price is essentially a marker to show us how much of the value that Bitcoin is taking out of the fiat system, maybe.
Yeah,
right.
It's definitely the hash rate plays into the price as well. I would say definitely what you said. But a really interesting stat that I saw is that if you compare the Google Trends into how much the term Bitcoin is being searched on Google, it actually hasn't gone higher than the 2017 levels. Really interesting, right? Anyways,
that is cool.
Interesting stuff. Let's see what happens at the end of the year. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Fail, sponsored by Pirate Hash. I know we covered WorldCoin, and then we did a follow-up to WorldCoin, right? Because we saw that they can indeed give away the information, right? And to quote-unquote what they saw were legitimate third parties, right? But I'm sure many of us would beg to differ. And then Nico shared this in the notes today, and this is a very interesting video, okay? So essentially what they're doing in this video is that they're explaining what how you quote unquote monetize the orb, or that device that you scan people's retinas with, that they don't harvest data from, that has a unique hash that disappears after it gets created, but for some reason they need data harvesters. Anyways, okay. So we're gonna watch this video, but you'll see. This is what they're explaining. Okay, check this out. This is creepy stuff, and totally exactly what it says in the comments here from @ZachXBT. Here's WorldCoin added with the MLM Ponzi business model, and yes, it totally is. Here we go.
So at this point, it's completely fair to wonder, there are so many people in my city. How in the world am I going to sign each one of them up to WorldCoin? And the beauty to that is that you don't have to do it by yourself. Because when we give you an orb, we're not only giving you a key that can unlock WorldCoin to everyone.
Imagine walking around the neighborhood with one of those.
We're also giving you a mini business to run. Because you own an orb, you can rent that orb out to any like-minded fellow distributor in your area to do sign-up on your behalf. And when they do a sign-up, you will still get a commission of it for your managerial skills. So, I'd recommend
handing somebody
that you
a ball?
assemble a committee of distributors to work underneath you so you can also train them and onboard them to WorldCoin. And that way the orb will never be idle.
So I don't understand okay, so what you just saw was the business pitch, for the orb from WorldCoin, okay? That's okay. So look, that totally, that's just a total MLM. I mean, and I don't understand something. Are the orbs really such a finite resource that, like, you have to be renting these things out? Like, is that what's happening here? Like, they're creating scarcity with this weird ball? And I'm sorry. I just don't buy it.
Dude, the last part was absolutely terrifying, where he said, your orb will never be idle, meaning your orb will always be scanning people's eyeballs. Like, man, who the F thought this was a good idea? This is absolutely terrifying. And him with the big-ass ball. Like, who...
Wait, hold on. This business model just completely escapes me. So I don't understand. How do you sign up to be a scanner, but you don't own the orb yourself? You sign up to scan other people's, but you rent it from this guy? And how many people can you rent your orb out to at once? And, like, how do you know when they're going to take it to scan people's eyes? I'm guessing you have to schedule all of this, so now you're like this. I'm sorry. This sounds ridiculous. This totally sounds ridiculous. I just don't get it.
They raised so much money, bro. They raised $25 million for this junk. Like, that is... You know what? Maybe they're going to make money selling people's eyeball information. Remember what it said? Like, you can share this with third parties.
Well, you don't remember? They're not harvesting any data. The data's not linked to you. But they're hiring data harvesters. And they're allowed to sell the data that they've harvested, which they don't harvest. Okay, they're allowed to sell it to parties that they deem have legitimate, I guess, cause to have the data. So think about that, Nico, for a second.
So, serious question. Why don't they just do the same thing and just give out money? Fiat. Why does it need a token?
There's a token? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm stuck. For me, this whole thing is that eyeball scanning thing. I totally forgot they're pretending to be money, too. I'm totally fixated on business people walking around. I guess they're all going to have, like, these bowling ball cases, right? And, like, walking up to people and, like, have you heard of WorldCoin? Do you want me to scan? Have you heard of our Lord and Savior WorldCoin? Would you like to join us? You scan your eyes.
I think about the awkward pauses, like, between. It's like, you're not in the right place. Move a little bit to the left. Move a little bit to the right. Like, man, it's gonna be weird, bro. It's gonna be weird, dude. It's gonna be strange. Anyways, Phil,
they're not gonna make it, dude.
I highly doubt it.
They're not gonna make it.
I highly doubt it. But Phil, what was the next fail?
Oh yeah, sorry. I completely forgot we had another fail. Anyways, all right, here we go. All right, so this is an interesting one here. We've got a little bit off the beaten path, right? Because we don't really think of CoinMarketCap, but check this out. CoinMarketCap hack reportedly leaks 3.1 million user email addresses. So 3.1 million email addresses linked to CoinMarketCap accounts were reportedly being traded on hacking forums. Interesting, huh? Mm-hmm. And there's something that I learned about this, which I didn't know, which I'm going to explain right now. CoinMarketCap, a subsidiary of Binance, cryptocurrency exchange. I didn't realize that they own them. Anyways, confirmed that the list of leaked user accounts matched its user base. While confirming the correlation of 3.1 million user email addresses with its user base on October 12th, the company has assured that the hackers did not gain access to any of the account passwords. Well, at least they didn't get the passwords. You know? That's always good. Don't get me wrong, though. They have your email address, so they could phish all kinds of other information anyways. Who gives, like, your password at that point is, like, the least relevant thing. Anyways, CoinMarketCap has yet to identify the exact cause of the hack. I mean, something that, you know what this can teach us? I don't know. I'm sure most people are savvy enough to do this, but if you're not, you should have a garbage throwaway email, multiple garbage throwaway emails that you use to sign up to these things, so that even if they do get information, the information that they get is completely irrelevant. You know, so I mean that's just like you never want to be using the, you know, the thing that you use, you know, let's say for government and stuff like that. Like you want to have like throwaway emails. So that's what that teaches us with CoinMarketCap. But like, who the hell actually signs into that? I mean, have you ever had to sign in to go look at shitcoins there? I mean, like, you just go look at the freaking stupid chart and that's it, you know?
Dude, it's weird to say the least. To say the least, it's definitely weird. But yeah, man, look, I remember clearly when Binance bought CoinMarketCap turned into a shitcoin like a week later.
Oh yeah.
Like you could tell, like they started adding a bunch of stuff to because it was just a simple website before, right? It just had a lot of traffic going in there, right? And then I'm assuming CZ was like, I could funnel these people into Binance, right? And they just changed, right? And it just got over complex, right? And like think about it, like from like if you go to Google's, like one of the reasons they were so successful is because you go to google.com, it's just a search engine, right? It's just Google, right? One of the beautiful things about CoinMarketCap, it was just CoinMarketCap, you know? You could see Bitcoin, all the shit coins below, right? And then it turned into something more complex that it didn't have to be. But it's just stupid. I mean, I'm happy I have a block clock now.
I just didn't realize that people actually sign in.
Yeah, who the fuck makes an account for CoinMarketCap?
An account?
That's weird. That is very
That's
strange.
what amazed me at this whole thing. I'm like, people sign up to this thing? Anyways, whatever. I just thought that they had ads and they sell their, you know, these crappy services. Anyways. Okay. Anyways, we learned something new, right? We learn something new every day.
Absolutely. Anyways, awesome fails. Phil, it's time for
the Daily Meme Review, sponsored by
Citadel 21. All right, everybody, the meme for today. The first one is brought to us by Spintate. Definitely go follow them. Hashtag ETH, Ethereum, ETH, 480p, 720p, 1080p, Ethereum. Awesome meme by Spintate. Next one is brought to us by fellow plebe MTC BTC. Had to be done. I love this photo. And this is one of the donation photos, right? Like, oh, you know, donate $1 a day or something. But I love what he did to it. Inflation is anti-human, buy Bitcoin. And she with the laser eyes. So well done, right? It's just like taking a photo that's meant to, like, you know, like point out the world's poverty, kind of switching it around and saying the poverty is caused by Bitcoin. I mean, sorry, by fiat. Next one brought to us by Stony Bison, Bitson. Here come hyperinflation. There's Janet Yellen. We're going to cover this today. Yellen says, I don't think we're about to lose control of inflation. The famous last words and inflation. I mean, Yellen at the casino thing. Super awesome memes, Phil. And for that, I'm going to give it my hair scrunchie. What about you?
Very nice. Okay, I'm going. We're gonna get crazy with this one. Okay, so these were the great memes. Love them. Yes, I do agree with you. Very powerful on that. You know, on that meme with the, you know, the Save the Children one, but mixed over for, you know, for Bitcoin. Anyways, I am giving it, okay, this wood burnt Genesis block, okay, which is made by Quinn Solo. Anyways, very cool stuff. That's right. Wood burnt Genesis block.
Really cool. I think you gave me one for my birthday. I have one.
Yeah.
On my fridge. That's a magnet. Really cool stuff. Awesome. Anyways, guys, do you agree with our scores? Do you disagree? Let us know down in the comments. And join our Telegram group. Link us some Bitcoin memes to review. Because it's a meme review. But anyways, Phil, it's time for...
The Daily News, sponsored by... Crypto Cloaks.
Phil, we have another We Told You So moment. We were talking so much crap about the Bitcoin ETFs and how they were essentially shitcoins because you weren't even buying real Bitcoin. But Phil, it's a whole lot worse than we anticipated. So check this out. I did a little bit of digging and I went to go look at the ProShares investment summary or Bitcoin strategy ETF, right? ProShares was the ETF, the futures ETF for Bitcoin. Now, Phil, check how bad this is, bro. Okay? Principal strategies. The fund seeks to provide capital appreciation primarily through managed exposure to Bitcoin future contracts. The fund does not invest directly in Bitcoin. So, what are you investing in when you buy this? That's a great question. The fund invests in short-term cash instruments that have a maturity of 397 days or less and exhibit high-quality credit profiles. For examples, U.S. government securities that have an initial maturities of 1 year or less and are supported by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. So, when you buy a Bitcoin ETF, not only are you not buying Bitcoin, you're supporting the goddamn evil machine. And you're buying bonds of a country, my country, of course, that is literally printing fiat into oblivion, right? And I love how it says the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. How much is that worth these days? Anyways, listen, when the music stops, we told you that you better not hold on to one of these because they're going to be worth garbage. How do I know that? Because they're backed by garbage, right? They're not even backed by Bitcoin. They don't even buy Bitcoin. This is ridiculous, bro. This is worse than all the shit that we talked about like 4 or 5 days ago when we initially talked about this. And I'm going to call out Sailor and I'm going to call out Pomp because they were celebrating up in arms like Satoshi would be proud if this went public. That's what Sailor said. Pomp, videos, tweets, all this stuff. But when you look at the receipts, they even tell you they're not even buying Bitcoin. They even tell you, it says it in bold text, and what they're buying is U.S. government bonds. Ridiculous. Phil.
Okay, so I don't understand. So look. So this has nothing to do with Bitcoin. Like literally the only thing that has anything to do with BTC is the name of the ETF. It's a Bitcoin ETF. That's it. Everything else is just absolute paper nonsense. And what's interesting is this, right? What this should tell us is that they have so much money that they have to move, that this is a great place, right? Because think about it. They can afford, if you think about it, right? They can afford to sit there and quote unquote pay, like when the ETF goes up, they'll be able to pay that out. It won't matter because it's all printed dollars anyways. It won't make a difference. But at the end of the day, that thing has nothing to do with Bitcoin. It is completely detracted from Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, look, to be fair, okay, they are buying Bitcoin futures contracts, right? As well as the treasury bills, but it's like...
But who cares? Right? Who cares? There's never any physical delivery of Bitcoin. Like there's no claim to Bitcoin in any way, shape, or form through that ETF, even with those contracts.
So you're basically buying paper, right? Yeah. You're buying U.S. government paper and you're buying Bitcoin futures paper, but it's just more sloshing around, It's so insane, and it upsets me so much because the plebs saw what's up on Twitter.
Oh yeah,
But all the blue checks, including Sailor, unfortunately, was like, Bitcoin went public. Bitcoin went public in 2009, bro. Okay? It's been public. It's been public for a while now, right? Bitcoin got exposure to Wall Street, and look how much Wall Street sucks. We don't buy Bitcoin directly. So anyways, it's ridiculous. Moving on. Check this out, Phil. Also, simply Bitcoin, we told you so moment, because mainstream media refuses to cover what's going on. This isn't really, I wouldn't say this is inspiring confidence. Anyways, Yellen says U.S. is not losing control of inflation. Okay. I'm going to go back to this real quick.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I'm going to tell everyone that was the central bankers.
Right? Because that's really what they're doing. Anyways, so Yellen says U.S. is not losing control of inflation. I want you to remember the title, the legitimacy. Oh my God, it's Reuters. Look, they're legit, okay? Zach Vogel did us a really good favor. And he took some screenshots. Let's go through them, shall we? Powell, rampant inflation, not a problem in recovery from COVID-19. Powell, higher inflation temporary, no rate hikes in sight. Powell says inflation risks rising, but Fed could be patient. And this one, which we just covered, Yellen says, I don't think we're about to lose control of inflation. So again, we've been covering this since January. We've been accurate. We've been telling you this was going to happen. Why? Because of the rate at which they're printing money. We pull up the M1 chart. I don't know how many times on this show you the freaking obvious. But if you were to trust what mainstream media was telling you, hashtag wrecked. Anyways, moving on. Things are getting serious, okay? And the reason for that is you have the CEO of Twitter, right, going and saying hyperinflation is going to change everything. It's happening, right? You dig a little bit deeper, it says it will happen in the US soon, and so the world. Now, most of Pump's tweets I ignore, but this one actually had a lot of signal. And he said, Jack Dorsey and Square sit on one of the most important and accurate data sets in the world to measure true inflation of various goods and services. They're likely maturely and more accurate in their measure of inflation than any data set from government organizations. Right? So, dude, really scary stuff. And the part that scares me the most, Phil, is that mainstream media refuses to cover this, but not only do they refuse to cover it, their reasons are supply chains. Their reasons are the thing that we can't talk about, the sickness all over the world, right? But they refuse to talk about the money at the printing of money at the rate they're printing it, and they refuse to talk about they can't connect the dots with the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill, which is going to add even more printed money, right? And one has nothing to do with the other, even though they clearly do. And how is it that two Bitcoiners on YouTube have been more accurately reporting this than any of the establishment media? Like, that's pretty freaking wild. Right? And now you can't even call us conspiracy theorists, because there you have the CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, announcing to the world, right, that hyperinflation, right, not a lot of inflation, hyperinflation is going to happen soon, not only to the world, but also the United States. That's freaking crazy. And I might add, there was a complete and total meltdown from the establishment, right? You had Chris Hayes saying this is so stupid, this is irresponsible. You have Steve Hanke the Panky also, saying, giving his input, saying this is ridiculous, like this will never happen here, man, I wouldn't even call this clown world, Phil. I would say this is like there's no way to confirm this, but this is malicious. This is malicious stuff from the media. They're refusing to tell people the truth, bro. Like, they're refusing to tell people, like, look, this is historical. This has never happened before, right? And it's like, I feel like a lot of people, unfortunately, are going to get caught off guard. And the worst part about all of this is that this is going to hurt the people that save in cash the most, meaning the lower end of the economic spectrum and the lower middle class. Because the people that can't afford to invest in equities and invest in real estate and invest in hard assets like Bitcoin, and they're saving in cash, they're going to get wrecked, bro. So it's a tragedy. It's a redistribution of wealth, stealing from the poor and the middle class to give back to the government and to the wealthy elite. It's very, very fucked up. But listen, you know what they always say, bro. We had a Seed Signer on the show. When you're right over the target, it's when they give you the most flack. And the fact that you had Steve Hanke melt down the way he did, and the fact that you had a couple other blue check marks saying the same thing, total meltdown, right, really tells me that maybe Jack sees something based on the data that he gets from Square that all of us could feel, Bitcoiners could feel, but perhaps we don't have the full picture like he does, like what Pomp was saying in his tweet. What are your thoughts, Phil?
You know what? Something interesting that I started to notice a couple of days ago, I'm seeing more of these blue checkmark accounts that credentialize in their argument, right? So they go and they throw their credentials in and then talk about how hyperinflation is complete nonsense, right? And that you know, we should learn something about economics and stuff like that. And it's like, you know something? I really don't, I no disrespect it in any way, shape, or form, but the price of things is in fact going up. I am a consumer. I am paying more for things. Don't frickin' tell me that hyperinflation isn't happening. Don't tell me that inflation isn't happening, right? Like, it's just, it's stupid and it's a lie. And it's just so sad. And you know what? I'm very curious, right? As to Jack's data sets, of course, right? Like, I'm very curious to that because he does, you know, I mean, look, he probably does have, you know, access to a lot better information. And you know what? He got a lot of hate for that tweet. If you go through that thread, you know, which I'm not suggesting we do that right now, but if you go through that thread, you'll see a lot of the people coming out and credentializing in that thread and obviously saying that what he's saying is nonsense and ridiculous and it's dangerous. You know, somebody with such a large account saying this. I'm sorry, everybody's going to the same stores and we're all paying more for the same thing. I'm sorry, we're all paying more for less of the same thing. Why is it dangerous that Jack Dorsey is expressing his concern? This is stupid. I just think it's, you know what, again, right, we're censorship, right? They want people to censor themselves. Don't go out and say the truth, the uncomfortable truth.
It's like don't say, you know, the thing that hurts the establishment, hurts the system, even though we could all see it with our own eyes. It's super 1984-ish. But anyways, Phil, another Simply Bitcoin We Told You So moment. We've been saying that Bitcoin, 3 of them, right? We've been saying that Bitcoin is most likely going to become legal tender on a state level before it becomes legal tender on a nationwide level because the federal government has the most to lose for Bitcoin becoming legal tender, but states have the most to gain, right? And it's really crazy because you have this candidate in Nebraska, Dr. Fed Simon. He's running for governor of Nevada. I said Nebraska. I apologize, guys. That was my bad. So governor of Nevada, and he says, when I am elected governor of Nevada, I'm going to push as hard as I can to make gold, silver, and Bitcoin legal tender in Nevada. We will not be on the wrong side of the collapse of the U.S. dollar. Very strong words, and that's a candidate for governor, right? And he is retweeting this and says, hyperinflation is here. It's just not widespread yet. I've denominated my savings in Bitcoin for 3 years now, and I've seen them hyperinflate in dollar terms, increasing my future buying power. Make your choice of currency to save wisely comes with massive hidden risks, right? So again, Man, Phil, this really, really scares me, dude, because a lot of people are going to be hurt. And the people that are going to be hurt the most are people that can't afford to be hurt the most. But at the same time, it does give me hope for the future, because it's exactly what we've been saying on this show, right? Now you have a governor saying exactly what we've been saying, right? I want to make Bitcoin, gold, and silver legal tender in Nevada because the dollar's a joke, right? He's basically saying it's going to collapse. Why is it going to collapse? Because they're printing it at the rate they're printing it at, right? And no one is talking about this. And the fact that no one is talking about this, except Jack Dorsey says it on Twitter, right? But it's like the fact that none of the establishment sources are talking about this really tells me that we might be onto something, Phil. And I think this might get really bad, bro. Like, I'm not even kidding. I think, like, you see it with Zach Vogel's tweet. You see the shifting of the goalposts, the shifting of the narrative from the Fed. There's not going to be inflation. There's going to be inflation. Inflation is frustrating. Inflation is here, but it's limited. Then you have Janet Yellen saying, like, the U.S. is not at risk of hyperinflation. Like, you get what I'm trying to tell you? Like, it's very, very scary stuff, man. And again, like, how do you protect yourself this? If you see, like, the writing's on the wall for us, right? You buy yourself hard assets, right? You buy yourself, Bitcoin is the best one in our opinion. You could also buy physical gold, physical silver, none of that paper shit, right? Real estate, but real estate is kind of a shit coin, right? Because, you know, you have to pay taxes on the property type. It's like another whole mess, right? Bitcoin's the best option, but man, like, Phil, what we've been saying, when the music stops, bro, like, this is going to be bad, man. This is not going to be good.
You know what? Remember this, okay? If people think that this isn't real, just remember this. Cynthia Loomis is a real person, and she said what she said, okay? Dr. Fred Simon is a real person running for governor of Nevada and talking about Bitcoin, right? Let's face it. Nayib Bukele, even though he put out a shitcoin tweet today about ETH, okay, still has Bitcoin, has Bitcoin as a legal tender. That's a real person, and that's a real country. So, they can sit there and pretend all they want that this isn't real and it's not really happening, and they bring out all the clowns and all the showmen to tell us this isn't real. It is real, okay? It totally is, and it's really scary stuff. And don't get me wrong, but this is what happens when you raise an entire nation and you don't teach anybody about how to properly save, or how to properly, how to understand money correctly. I mean, it's within the system's best interest for us not to understand money. Think about it, right? Like, it's within it totally is, right? It's within the banking system's best interest for you not to understand money. It's fantastic. They don't really care that you have a savings account with them. They want you to take on their credit products. So, anyways, it's just nonsense. How long can they kick this can down the road? I think, unfortunately, in the next 2 years, we're going to see massive price increases, because annually all these contracts renew for all of these parts and all of these raw materials. So I think within, 2022, 2023, we start to really see the beginning of the bump.
Like, again, like, it's crazy, because why are none of the official sources covering this? Why do we need to get our information from Twitter? Why do we need to get our information directly from individuals that didn't have to go through the gatekeepers of information, of the official information sources? Why is it that 2 Bitcoin YouTubers have been more accurate with their inflation predictions than the mainstream media? Right? Those are all very hard questions. Mm-hmm. No one knows when and if this thing will hyperinflate, but again, the writing's on the wall. And if they're lying this much now, what makes you think they'll stop lying? They have no incentive to stop lying. This is really scary stuff, man.
Nico, you know as well as I do, they cannot stop lying. It's not possible anymore. at this point, okay, they have so much sunk cost into this story, right? Like, think about it, okay? You're talking about not just mainstream media, you're talking about banks, right? You're talking about institutions, you're talking about corporations. I mean, don't get me wrong, what people don't realize, okay? So in the 2008 mortgage meltdown, right? You had like Lehman Brothers, you had Bear Stearns. Don't think for a second that like companies like Goldman Sachs were actually immune, or JP Morgan. They were all involved in all of this BS nonsense. They were all involved in this. So trust me, they cannot afford to stop this show from playing. Like they just can't afford it. Like they have to see this thing through until it's just a steaming pile of crap, which we're there.
Yeah, we're there, man. It's a long time coming. This thing, the money printing experiment, started in 2008, 2009, same as the financial crisis. Coincidentally, that's when Satoshi invented Bitcoin. Bitcoin went live January 3rd, 2009, and Satoshi knew they would keep printing, they would keep bailing out, they would keep kicking that can down the road. But I think we're down the road, Phil. I think there's no more road to kick that can down. I think we just hit the wall, man. Very scary stuff. Guys, if this concerns you, as it should, right? We put all our sources down below. Don't trust us. Verify it yourself. Opt out of the system. Buy yourself something that can't be debased by anyone. Bitcoin, and only Bitcoin, right? But Phil, there was an open source software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. All right, we've got electrs, which is a Rust implementation of Electrum server. Anyways, version 0.9.1 was released, and it is down below in the show notes. Check it out.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, that was our show. Before we go, get your tickets to Bitcoin 2022. It's going to be the largest Bitcoin conference ever. It's going to be in sunny Miami. Take advantage of the link down below for 10% off your tickets to Bitcoin 2022. Check out Cloaks for some awesome 3D printed Bitcoin merch. Take advantage of the link down below for 5% off anything on the store, cryptocloaks.com. Check out Citadel 21 for some awesome Bitcoin pleb signal, super really cool stuff. It's articles written by plebs for plebs. Check it out. Get yourself a physical copy. There's only 1,000 made per volume. Citadel21.com. And of course, check out Pirate Hash for some awesome Bitcoin trinkets, like a Bitcoin board game, a Bitcoin source poster, really cool stuff. PirateHash.com. Anyways, guys, that was our show. You know what to do. If you enjoyed the show, smash the like button. And of course, if you want to continue hearing the catastrophic fails from WorldCoin, central bankers, the mainstream media, all of it, and the Bitcoin news from the pleb perspective, definitely consider subscribing. And we'll see you tomorrow, guys, for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.
The central bankers can kick the can down the road all they want. Don't let them do it with your value. Opt out. It's time for Bitcoin.